So if you've been following Chia, then you're probably ready for pools. Most likely, the people that got into Chia expected to be able to mine or farm Chia, I guess I should say, as a solo farmer without the need for pools, because if you're winning every couple hours, what's the big deal? But now the net space is growing at an insane rate, right? It's going to the moon. The net space, that is, not hopefully the Chia price, but definitely the net space. So the question is, do we need to be concerned? And what's the update on pooling? So basically, at some point a couple of days ago, I announced, the pooling is being delayed to some extent. And so far, they're still on track with the end of the month. And at that point, you should be able to make poolable plots. And they released this FAQ, which actually helps with a lot of interesting things. So their goal is still by the end of May 2021. And afterward, pool operators will need time to adapt their pooling code to use Chia's method to calculate farmer share, collect from pool wallet, and distribute Chia to pool participants. So just because the pooling protocol is released, it doesn't necessarily mean pools are going to be ready like that. There's probably going to be quite the rush to get working pools out there because there's a lot of people waiting. So if you've been following along with Space Pool, we are working hard to make that happen. So will I need to replot to use the official pooling protocol? Yes, anyone who wants to join a pool will need to create new K32 portable plots. You can still farm the solo plots as a solo farmer, but if you want to join a pool, any of the pools will require new poolable plots, and that's really what's coming out in May, at the end of May. The new plot format allows you to switch between pools and self-pooling with a cooldown of 30 minutes before each switch. Our recommendation is to slowly replace your existing plots with portable plots one by one, so you still have a chance to win Chia while you convert to all portable plots. I think there's misunderstanding around this, and I think there's going to be a certain number of people who just delete their solo plots because they're like, oh, I'm not going to win for like 15 days or a month or whatever it might be, and start with pooling. Which, okay, if you want to do that, it's fine. If you're going to basically replace your storage pretty quickly, yeah, but if it takes you 15 days, then you might as well have those solo plots and not replace them until your storage is full from pool plots. That's just kind of my thoughts on there. There might be a dip in the net space even, but I'm not too concerned about a dip because basically there's people just waiting for pools. So I think as soon as the pooling protocol is updated and people can create those poolable plots, I think the net space growth is going to spike, actually. Can I farm with both OG, original plots, and portable plots? Yes. The farmer will support both OG plots and portable plots on one machine. Fantastic. Oh, here's a list of upcoming Chia pools. I didn't even see this. So, yeah, we need to talk about Hpool. There's a fair chance that, once the pooling protocol is out, Hpool will update to that. I don't know for sure, but right now it's not following the pool protocol. So basically you're giving up your farming power and trusting them to pay you out, which requires a level of trust that I'm a little uncomfortable with. This is the one that we're working on, Pool Space. So hopefully you'll hear more about that soon once pooling is released and it's a little closer to the top here. If you want to follow along with that project, you can go to pool.space, join our Discord. There's a lot of good discussion there, and not just about pooling. We're talking about farming and plotting and best setups and all kinds of different things. So it's a really great place, and it's grown so much more than what I was originally expecting. Why doesn't Chia run their own official pool? To run a good pool takes a lot of effort, and it's not Chia Network Inc. core business. There's a strong ecosystem of pool developers and operators who would love to take on this challenge, so it just makes sense to allow the community to run pools. Now, I don't think in Chia's case, pooling is a direct correlation to centralization, and we're going to talk about that in a moment, but I would be a little concerned potentially if Chia, a company, built this network and they had the official pools and you couldn't make your own pools. I personally would be a little hesitant if Chia built this network and offered the pooling protocol and pretty much controlled so much of it. That's a really strong sign of centralization. Yeah, they are providing the pooling protocol, but that's obviously a necessary ingredient to work as a pool. But the actual pool code and the payouts and all of the stuff around the pool is controlled by the pooling company. If a pool gets 51% of net space, can they take over the network? No, Chia's pooling protocol is designed where the blocks are farmed by individual farmers, but the pooling rewards go to the pool operator's wallet. This ensures that even if a pool has 51% net space, they would also need to control 51% of the farmer nodes to do any malicious activity. This will be very difficult unless 51% of farmers downloaded a malicious Chia client, which shouldn't be necessary because pooling should be supported in the default Chia GUI. But that brings up concerns around other pools, such as Hpool, which requires a download, and I'm pretty sure your mnemonic phrase, and they very well could execute a 51% attack to the extent of my knowledge. Because if you're giving out your seed phrase, well, they essentially own you. But the fact that a 51% attack is not a concern with Chia is pretty huge, because even if you didn't have 51% necessarily, there might be 51% split across 2 or 3 or 4 pools, which is still also a concern. And if one pool really takes off, for example, if Space Pool, everybody really likes that and that community is thriving, then who knows? Maybe one day it will have over 51%, and it's not a concern to the centralization of farming power. There's a boatload of other questions in here, but the deeper you go, the less relevant they are for the majority of viewers here. But there is talk on, how there's calculation of a farmer's net space and, how to identify the farmer, a bunch of other stuff that you might be interested in if you plan on starting a pool. And up until now, people have drastically underestimated the Chia network. So when it comes to net space predictions, I really think people are undershooting it by a long shot. What it's going to actually be, I don't exactly know, but I hear people talking about it slowing down at 15 exabytes or whatever it might be, and I just don't see that happening if we're being realistic. Because right now, we're at 5, and there's literally tens of thousands of people waiting for the pooling protocol to be released at the end of this month. And at that time, people's plotting power across the entire world is going to go through the roof, and the net space is going to go up. It's just a matter of fact. So I don't think it's slowing down around that rate. What about 100 or 200? It's really hard to say. Honestly, I'm fairly new to the storage market. This is such a new thing to me. It's a fairly new thing to cryptocurrency, or at least it's never been this mainstream. Using hard drives to support a network, the demand has become so high that it's very challenging to get a very good setup. I personally think the majority of people are going to join a pool. But the good news is you don't have to decide that from the beginning. You can create plots for solo farming and ultimately switch to a pool once these poolable plots are released. But I can tell you that there is pretty good adoption going on for the Chia network. I mean, this kind of stuff, I saw this on Reddit. This is becoming normal, and it's just crazy. All right, maybe not this extreme. Their goal is to be plotting a petabyte a day by the end of the year. Initially, this kind of thing was insane. I've been on the Chia network for a while, and when it started out, the net space was like 100 petabytes or like 150 or something. So the idea of plotting 1 petabyte every single day, you're going to catch up pretty quickly. So we'll probably do a video talking about all the benefits of pooling and potential downsides, but I think the general idea is that pooling is going to make your rewards more predictable, so your profits are more predictable. And if you want to be sure that, your plots are working and you're earning, you can do that more easily with a pool. So instead of just sitting there seeing a time to win of like 20 days and just hoping everything goes well, a pool is going to basically pay out very frequently, so your storage is being used, you're supporting the network, and you can potentially take those earnings and reinvest into more hardware or whatever you want to do. So I think in general, most people are going to use pools. And I'm not just saying that because I'm working on a pool. I'm saying that just because it makes sense, especially with the lack of concern around centralization of farming power. Is that what we call it? Farming power? I don't know. Basically, I'm rambling. Long story short, I think the net space is going to be much higher than what people are anticipating. But people don't go into this network feeling like this network owes you something, right? This is a decentralized network and people are competing, and it's a very competitive space right now. Just in the Discord chat yesterday, someone was saying that they bought some hard drives off of someone who said they wanted to get into a new cryptocurrency, but found that it was too complicated and too difficult. Well, yeah, Chia is pretty complicated just to learn, figure out how to actually do it, but then it's also very difficult to win Chia. And it's just a matter of fact that those who got in early, they benefited the most. That's just how it is, I guess. And I'm aware that the content I created a month or two ago is becoming less relevant because solo farming is no longer viable for most people. However, once pooling is out, all those computer builds and the hardware is going to be just as valuable. So it doesn't hurt to get some experience and get those builds if you're planning on doing this thing long term. I think people go into it wanting to get their return in like a month, but that's just crazy. You know, it might take a little bit longer than that, but I still see Chia as a very good cryptocurrency investment. Not investment advice, just my personal opinion, but you can go into Chia Calculator and see that it's profitable even if you assume the net space is wildly higher than it actually is. I think I have a video planned that's going to take a more long-term view of the profitability of Chia and, see at what point is it not valuable. These things tend to find an equilibrium. I'm fairly new to cryptocurrency mining projects, but I'm finding this out very quickly, right? If there's a point where mining a cryptocurrency is not a good investment, but you still want to acquire the cryptocurrency, then you're going to buy that cryptocurrency. So if the price dips and it turns out it's cheaper to buy Chia than to actually farm Chia, people are going to do that. And the other way around too. If Chia is really overpriced based on how quickly people are earning the cryptocurrency through farming, more people are going to buy into farming hardware and make it more difficult to acquire the Chia, therefore evening things out. So it's a little bit more complicated than looking at one example and just saying, oh, it's profitable or it's not profitable. People are going through a lot of calculations to figure out at what point is it not worth the investment and it would be better to buy Chia or get into a different cryptocurrency network. Those are the kinds of things that basically require a lot of skill and practice in this market. So those are the things I'm learning as well. And hopefully I can share some of that with you guys as I learn in the future. So if you have enjoyed this video or you're excited about the news around pools, drop a like and a comment. I'd be curious how much storage you're planning on bringing to the Chia network. And probably even cooler would be what you ended up paying for that storage. People are paying all kinds of different prices for different capacity of drives. So I'm just curious everybody's setup. Appreciate you watching. Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you in the next update.